Back in June, when I had the opportunity to go to Hornby HQ in Margate, we were shown around a variety of different things. One of these places was the Sprue Talk studio, and whilst in the studio, it just made sense to take part in a Sprue Talk episode. So, without any further ado, I'm Matt, and this is Model Minutes Does Sprue Talk.
Welcome to this special edition of Sprue Talk, joined by Model Minutes.
Hello, Matt from Model Minutes here.
And, of course, Luke, our Airfix researcher.
Hi,
we have in front of us a Buccaneer, don't we?
Yes.
I don't want to touch it, so Luke's going to do it because I'll break something.
Yeah, so it's really interesting we've got Luke here today because Luke is one of the researchers who had a massive hand in designing this new one. So there was originally a 1/72nd scale Buccaneer?
Yes, there was. So I'm relatively new to the team, so I didn't have a hand in the original design. That was Matt who designed that. But Paranjit, the designer of the 48th, I sort of helped him towards the end of the project on the quite often the most tricky bits, the getting over that line, sort of finishing the model and making sure we've got it all accurate, essentially. So looking into the fine details on the cockpit, missiles, and just generally giving the aircraft a once-over to make sure we've got it right.
Cool. So where did you get your research information from?
So all over. It's really important to sort of look at multiple aircraft and speak to loads of different people because you might get contradictory advice or information. Which is good because it allows you to be analytical about what you use and avoid copying one mistake on a real aircraft. So we went to Cotswold Airport to visit the Teabag group there, the Buccaneer Aviation Group. Also down the road, Manston History Museum, which really helped us research the navigator's cockpit after seeing some comments online about I hope they have a Martel designator screen in the middle, and we went, oh goodness, and then went and saw this cockpit and got some measurements of it. So all round, and I mentioned to Ulster Aviation Society who we 3D scanned their aircraft to begin with, and they've been instrumental in the whole 72nd and 48th model, so they've been super helpful.
Cool. So there was loads of information you could use from the 172nd one to go to 148, but you effectively still had to go out and get a lot of it again. Yeah,
so you sort of research to the scale, which means that, you know, if you do 72nd first, you don't have to go into as much detail. You want to have as much as you can and then sift through. But when you then go up a step again, you have to start looking into the minutiae even more. So you have to do additional research. Whereas if you go from 48th to 72nd, it's a bit different because you should have all the information and it's more a job of what don't I need. So yeah, we did have to go and research quite a bit for the 48th, which is fun.
Where's your sort of favourite place to go for research?
It's hard to say. I love finding original drawings, stuff that maybe hasn't been looked at in 50, 60, 70 years, and you've got the knowledge that you're the first person. Normally, National Archives is really good, especially for aircrew bits of information. But speaking to different manufacturers, so BAE can be quite helpful, the Fleet Air Arm Museum, and lots of other places. You'll find drawings and manuals in the weirdest of places, people that have just collected over the years and acquired. So finding, it's like the Pulp Fiction moment where they have the briefcase and it's all gold glowing when you find these original drawings. It's great.
Amazing, cool. Yeah. So I think the only last question I've got, you build models?
I do, but when you're researching 8, 9, 10 hours a day, it's hard sometimes to find the motivation, as I'm sure most people at home sometimes struggle with. So I build simple things and I don't research them. I trust the kit manufacturer. Because it's my job, so I want to get home and just build and the physical act of building. I might not even paint it. I might just put together a quick model for the therapeutic aspect of putting together the plastic, and then it might even end up in the bin or on the floor in a million pieces.
Yeah, it's a good place to watch sometimes. Cool. How about you, Mike? What did you build recently?
So I have tried a few. Over lockdown is when I really started getting into it, and it's probably a dirty word, but I do miniature painting as well.
Oh yeah.
So I actually quite like anything we've got that involves that side of things. So people, obviously earlier people were asking about old kits that had the infantry and things like that.
Yeah,
So stuff like that. I think I'd be interested to see some of that come back. But I did a tank.
Yeah.
But it's probably blasphemy recently because I used a yellow just to make it and modified it and things like that.
You did your own thing.
Yeah, because I think where I'm just starting and where I'm really kind of getting into it, I didn't want to jump too much in. We get to see models like this, and it can be really daunting if you've not started. So to be able to just go, right, I'm just going to buy a kit, I'm going to do what I want, I'm going to figure it out, and then maybe as I learn a bit, I can go back and start again. Cool. Yeah.
So if you had any advice for a new person, what would you say?
Well, the starter kits that we do, I have obviously been redeveloped, and the information you get in there is great. YouTubers like yourselves and everyone here are amazing things. You go on anyone's computers around here and they're watching you guys, and that's such an important tool, is to be able to go on there and think someone else is going through that, someone else is experiencing that for the first time, and I'm sure there are probably YouTubers out there that have just started their own YouTube channels. So I'd say my advice is go on there, watch as much as you can, watch along, and also don't feel too worried about what you're doing. You can't get it wrong. No. And
just all practice, isn't it? Have a go.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got a question for you then. I assume this is the first sort of time you've experienced something like this.
Yeah.
How does it feel coming down to Airfix, and being able to see the behind the scenes?
Yeah, it's a good experience. I mean, I liked Airfix since I was a child, like in 10, 11 sort of age. Yeah. And I was a member of the club back then, and I really wanted to come and do this. So like actually to come to the Airfix factory, it still is the factory really, isn't it? Even though some of your stuff isn't quite here anymore. Yeah. But it's been an amazing experience. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.
And what got you in? Why did you decide to do YouTube videos? Obviously, I'm sure that love of modelling. Yeah. What made you go, do you know what, actually?
Well, I think at the time, I started in like 2016, and back then there were some good modelers, but a lot of them were very good, and there was nothing quite simple. So I decided I wanted to do simple videos to sort of people at my level. Yeah. And also I find, when you build a model and you put it on your shelf and then that's it, it's just a visual element. Yeah. That physical enjoyment part has gone. Yeah. So by recording that element still exists, and other people can learn from it and experience it as well. Yeah. Which I quite like. So it prolongs the whole experience really.
And opens that community, doesn't it? Of like on your channel, I've seen so much community aspect to it. People chatting, people getting involved in some of our live streams and things like that, which I think is an amazing part of it. Like, we've talked before quite a bit here about how Airfix and plastic modelling can feel quite insular and quite lonely. But then actually over the last few years, I think that's been opening up, and people are able to say, do you know what, I am a plastic modeler, I am an Airfix.
There's less stigma about it. It used to be sort of something done behind closed doors, but now people are like, well, I do this. Yeah. And they go, oh, cool. And then it's actually interesting because like people that I know, you'd say, oh, I do this as a hobby, and they go, oh, I used to do that as a kid, or my dad does that now, or something. So it's not behind closed doors. It just seems to be like, don't ask, don't tell. Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. So I think final question. Favorite YouTuber?
Oh goodness! I don't know. Have I got a gun to my head on this one? I must say, well, I like watching Mike, and I like watching Matt as well. So I couldn't answer it. I couldn't possibly give an answer.
A very diplomatic answer. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's it for this special edition of Model Minutes Does Airfix Sprue Talk. I'd like to extend my thanks to Luke and Mike for taking part in this episode and for giving me the opportunity to create it. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this special edition, and special shout out to my Patreon and channel members for the extra support they give my channel. A massive thanks to these guys on screen, and if you'd like to find out more about how you can get involved, take a look at the links in the description. If you're new here and you'd like to see more modelling content like this, make sure you click that like button, subscribe and turn those notifications on. Finally, the last thing to say is a massive thank you to you for watching this one, and I will see you on the workbench again next time.